Welcome to the Be Happy Now show. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. I'm Claudia-Sam. If you know that you're here for a bigger reason, this is the place to be. Together, we ditch the self-care guilt and quit the go with less fear and more trust. Tune in to living life in alignment with your full potential. The Be Happy Now show starts now. Hi, welcome to the garden. This episode is going to be a free flow where I'm going to pick flowers and trust the download that I've been getting from Source directly into my intuition to talk about how we're creatures of control. And I'm thinking this might resonate with you, so we're just going to go with it. As you can see, it's lavender time here in Nelson, New Zealand, and the beautiful purple colors are very inspiring to me. And I see the bees and I don't want to cut the flowers from them, so I'm just going to take just a few. See, this is what I mean by part of what I mean in regards to how we're creatures of control. What came to me was how it's so easy to feel on track when we know what we're doing. When our human has an idea of what the HELL is going on. And when we don't know what's going on, or at least when the ego mind thinks, I don't know what's going on. I want to know. I want certainty. I want to have the direction. I want to have the clarity about what are the next steps. I want to know how to do this and how to answer to that and how to respond better here. And ultimately, how to not let my environment lead me into an overthinking pattern of worst case scenarios. When we are in uncertainty, the human wants to step up and say, no, don't worry. It's okay. I got you. I know where we're going. And then starts to want to have a plan. Take, for example, the end of the year and how a lot of what we see online or what I am told from my clients that they see online is different conversations about what's the best way to move through the end of the year. Except there is no one right way, but the ego thinks it's so pleasant to have that clear direction and feel so aligned with knowing where to go, which, it makes sense. I myself feel really comfortable when I know what's going on. A Course in Miracles says and talks about the distinction between what is certain and what is uncertain. Today in the lesson that I listened to in the Course was that the only certain thing is God. And you can use this word also as the universe or positive energy source. Your higher power is yours. You decide what resonates the most with you. And the only certain thing is that. And because the only certain thing is that higher power, whenever the ego human comes and says, hey, that's not enough for me. I want to know what my next year is going to bring. I want to know exactly where I'm going to end up. I want to know what I have to plan, what I have to focus on. That, my friend, takes God out of the equation. Unfortunately or fortunately, you can play with this. the moment that we begin to want to have control, we stop giving power to God. We stop believing in the truth that the only certain thing is God. The moment we start to take control or believe that in our human ego, we trust, is when we make the decision that God isn't powerful enough. This might be a bit far out, and so I'm going to try to listen to what can help you assimilate what I'm saying, what we're saying, because this isn't me. These words are coming through for me to share with you, and sometimes it's unclear. In this time of year, when there are a lot of advertisements, push pressure from the world around us to buy, whether it is to buy stuff or it is to buy into expectations of those we love. Because that's also the thing that I hear a lot from my clients in this time of year, is that there's a pressure to show up a certain way, to give the specific gifts, to host a certain way, to cook specific recipes. And that is pressure. And where there is pressure, there is pain. And where there is pain and pressure, there is no alignment with pleasure. That's just how it is. So if we believe in the human masculine energy of the ego to take control and have control over all of the situations, like let me make a plan for everything, hence let me not fall asleep so fast because I need to think about all the worst case scenarios. Do you relate to that? That means that then we are choosing to believe that God is not certain, that the truth of who we are, love, because God, positive energy source, the universe, the source of love flows through us. We are a seed of that. Each human, each being is a seed of that. This tree is also a seed of that, a seed of that love. Hence, we are one. If we choose to have one belief of pressure, hence aligns with the belief that love is not certain, I need to work hard to receive love, then we have made the decision. A Course in Miracles says this: love and fear cannot both exist at once. Love and fear cannot both exist at once. So do you see how do you notice how when we decide to believe one thing, it can automatically send us into believing something else? Because if we believe in pressure and doing the holidays, quote unquote, right, where is the stem of this flower? Then we are choosing to believe that to be loved, we need to abide by everyone's requests. And that to be loved and to be happy over the holidays, we need to stick to these traditions, when ultimately you might, if you tune in and you really give yourself the chance to ask whether or not these traditions are in alignment with you or not. Like if you really give yourself the time to think through that, you might find that you're not in alignment with them anymore. I have hair in my microphone. I hope you can still hear me. I'm going to go behind this big tree here and get one of my favorite flowers of this time of year called either African lily or agapanthus. And I'm going to cut one that's already open, blooming, so that you can see which one this is. Because I'm way behind these trees, this lime tree, so you might not see me. Ultimately, being creatures of control means that we make the decision to not trust in the higher power of God. And I know that's not really what you want. If you're here, if you want to trust your intuition and you want to learn how to make decisions from a place of alignment, of love, of authenticity, then one of the key is to release control and hand it over to the universe, to God, to positive energy source. And how do we do that while we're human and we, to pick flowers, we need arms, we need a pair of scissors, and to be able to see what we're doing. Does that mean that leaving the control to the universe, then the flowers are going to pick themselves? No, that's not what we're saying. Questions that you can ask yourself here are, where am I putting pressure on myself to do things that maybe someone else decided for me? Where in my life might have I given my power away to the ego? And by that, I mean that your power hence does not belong to the ego. Your power belongs to the you who channels and who is an instrument for love, for the voice of love. And that travels through your body in your own unique way. Like for me, the voice of love channels through these words, through the Be Happy Now show, through holding space with my clients. Because when I'm on a call with a client, what it really looks like is that I'm holding space. I'm holding space for them to access the love within themselves, for them to hear the voice of the intuition, which is ultimately linked to the voice of God and gets interpreted, gets molded into their own unique expression. So when I'm in a coaching conversation with a client, I don't tell them, here's the mold that you need to fit into. Rather, it's about getting curious with what their mold is going to be based on their availability to hear their purpose. When we are holding so tightly, and the thing is, often we don't know that we have habits like cooking a specific thing or showing up for family, like giving availability. Let's say you have your own business and you are taking clients until the very last minute, or you are working yourself to through the holiday period, and you're telling yourself this story that you have to work through it because money's it won't make itself. Well, that's a belief, that's a pressure that you're putting on yourself, and that's something that you're choosing. If you're choosing pressure, it's the same thing as choosing fear over love. And again, A Course in Miracles says that only one exists. So if only one exists, is it pressure or is it pleasure? Is it pain or is it purpose alignment? And it can sound a little like black or whitey, or, like one extreme to the other. And what A Course in Miracles says is that because only one exists, it's not about being black or white or living with the extremes. Rather, it's about recognizing that only one exists. So if we are creatures of control, what if we gave the control away? What if we gave the control over to, not away, what if we gave it over to God, the universe, positive energy source, and used and tapped into the intelligence of the human experience to let us take aligned actions once we've given it over to source? That might look like deciding to set specific boundaries over the holiday period. That might look like saying, you know what, I'm going to take the next 15 minutes to be fully present, breathe, get into the now, lower my heart rate, instead of jumping right into a next task. You see how simple it can be? Because it's almost like, okay, let me turn off the engine for a moment. Let me park on the side of the road. Let me take a breather because I'm about to, I don't know, it's not always up to having like the worst case scenarios of otherwise I'm going to get into an accident. No, otherwise you might just not enjoy your life. Otherwise you might just keep choosing pain and pressure over pleasure and purpose. So often what I hear in these scenarios is, okay, but I'm so comfortable with the control. Like, I don't want to give it up. Remember that ultimately, because who you are inside is a part of the divinity. It's a part of love, of positive energy source. That's who you are. That's you are one of the seeds of that love. And just like all these flowers that I picked, they are all individual, different, like they're different seeds. They bloom into different flowers, and ultimately they're all flowers. They all had a seed. Probably the seeds looked very similar. Have you ever done a garden where you plant the seeds and you're like, is this a bean or is this a tomato? Like, it looks the same thing. Hence, it's all one. So is there a place in your life, a category, an area of your life where you could take a bit of a step back, a little bit like what I did, and I stepped back here. I'm going to do it again. Is there an area of your life where you can step back to make space between the ego? Can you still see me? Between the ego and the soul, between the controlling nature that the human is so comfortable in. Which area of your life could you create space? Distance yourself a little bit from that. Again, park on the side of the road, turn the engine off, take a breather, even if it's for one breath. That in itself is a leaning back. I'm choosing love energy. I'm choosing to create space. I'm choosing to see that there's a better way to go about this. I'm choosing to see that I don't deserve to live life with pressure. And that actually my small human self isn't in charge of anything. You're just a channel. You're in this body, this vehicle that brings you through life. And the gift is to be able to listen to what the divine has to tell you. The divine meaning love, meaning guidance from this higher power. What does it want to use you for? Isn't that powerful? So what would your life look like if you worked in a co-creative energy with God, universe, positive energy source? Do you see how that is still very, can you imagine how it's still empowering to be in a co-creative spirit with God instead of thinking you have to control, you need to make money this specific way, you need to help people and have impact that specific way, you need to have that specific house or that specific job or have that specific result. Like, what if it can be better, but your ego mind just wants to control it so much that leaves no room for the imagination to run wild? Like, I'm sorry, but this garden here filled with so many flowers, that wasn't in my, this is exactly where I want to live in New Zealand. I didn't know there were that many types of flowers that could grow in a residential garden. Okay. And this is just a little piece of it. So by asking and letting God in and saying, how much better can it get? I'm willing to work with you. Hence, I trust that you are the only certainty in life. I know, therefore, that what is certain is my happiness and abundance, because that's who I am. The seed, a seed of God, of the universe, of positive energy source. I asked a lot of questions, eh? I hope you like that. Please DM me, find me on Facebook, on Instagram. If you have any questions that come from this conversation, anything that feels unclear, uncertain, any triggers that show up for you, anything that maybe your ego mind is creating a little mini fit and feels a bit maybe lost, or maybe you're having an awareness and an aha, like, oh, I needed to hear that today. If that's you, any of it, share any of it with me. I would love to read you. And it's always really great to know who's in my community so that, you know, also I can speak directly to you. And maybe I could even ask a question to Source if it feels like you have a bit of a hard time hearing what Source has to say for you. I can try to help. Thanks for coming in my garden today. All right. Creature of control. We can also laugh about it too, right? When we're trying to control everything and wanting to do everything right, wanting to plan, wanting to make sure we have no worst case scenarios happen, or that just has a spin in these futuristic, not even existing yet scenarios. And because we're human, maybe we can catch ourselves and be like, oh, there's my little control-y creature. There you are. And just laugh with it. Okay. Have fun with that. I do it, and sometimes I catch myself a bit late, but it doesn't matter. I'm human too. I play the game. Thanks for being here. Bye. You've been listening to the Be Happy Now show with me, Claudia-Sam. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. You are worthy of being you and of connecting to what stops you from living the life you are meant to live. Access more soul connection coaching at claudiasamcoaching.com.